Welcome to the Mini Book Podcast, African American Books Edition.
Today, we're discussing a truly iconic book, Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin.
We want to thank you for listening, and please consider subscribing for future content.
And we really encourage you, after hearing this, to go out and purchase this book and support the author's work.
Just a quick note for you. While the voices you're hearing come from AI, all of the content is sourced straight from the book itself, and we believe this is a really powerful way to learn about African American history.
Absolutely. This book, published in 1961 but based on his journal from 1959, it's incredible. It's the story of a white man who medically changes his skin color to travel through the segregated Deep South.
And today we're going to explore that journey, his initial shock, the realities of what he called second-class citizenship.
And the very real dangers he faced, especially traveling through places like Louisiana and Mississippi.
And we should note, the repercussions for him were immediate and violent once the experiment became known.
Oh, absolutely. His effigy was hung in the middle of his hometown. A cross was burned on the hill right above his house. It was a brutal response.
So let's start at the beginning. Griffin's central goal, his motivation, he wanted to truly understand what it was like to be a black man in the South.
Right. It wasn't an academic exercise for him. He wanted to experience that second-class citizenship firsthand, to feel its impact on an individual.
So in October of 1959, he puts this practical plan into motion. He meets with some contacts, even with the FBI.
And he decides, not to change his name or his identity, only his skin color. He wanted people to react just to his appearance, to draw their own conclusions about him.
He was worried, though, that his real status would be compromised if he was discovered.
Of course. The medical process itself was pretty intense.
Yeah, let's unpack that. How did he actually do it?
Well, it involved a couple of things. First, he took a drug, a medication that's usually used for a condition called vitiligo.
Okay, wait. For anyone listening who might not know, what exactly is vitiligo?
Vitiligo is a disease that causes patches of skin to lose their pigments, so you get these white spots on the body.
So he was using a drug meant to do the opposite, in a way.
Exactly. He combined that with long periods under an ultraviolet sun lamp to speed up the darkening process. It was risky.
I can't even imagine. And there were side effects?
Oh, definitely. He wrote about this deep sense of lassitude, this exhaustion, and constant nausea. It was a serious physical undertaking.
And then comes the moment of truth. By early November 1959, the change is complete. He shaves his head, applies the final skin stain.
And he looks in the mirror.
He writes that he saw a fierce, bald, very dark Negro glared at me from the glass.
That line is so powerful. He said he felt imprisoned in the flesh of an utter stranger. It wasn't just a disguise anymore.
It was a fundamental shift in his identity. The white John Howard Griffin was, in his words, wiped from existence.
Yeah. And his new reality hits him the second he starts his journey in New Orleans. He first walks through the French Quarter. He sees all the elegance, the beautiful architecture.
Sites that were, completely off limits to him now. He realizes he couldn't even walk into a restaurant there and order Huîtres Verriers oysters.
Precisely. The beauty was there, but it wasn't for him. And that contrast becomes so much clearer when he crosses into the black neighborhoods.
Right, into South Rampart and Dryades streets.
The change is just immediate. He describes it as poor, cluttered, and filled with what he calls the indefinable stink of despair.
But even in the middle of all that, he finds community almost instantly. He meets a man named Sterling Williams.
Yes, a shoeshine man, a World War I veteran, a very keen, intelligent man who sort of becomes his guide, his entry point into this new world.
And his first night's lodging says it all, a room that was scarcely larger than the double bed.
Awful conditions, poor ventilation, a broken bedstead. But then he has this encounter in the communal shower with another man staying there.
And instead of hostility, there's this shared moment of courtesy and warmth.
Yes. And Griffin realizes it's an unspoken thing, a need to counter the hatred from the outside world with kindness on the inside, a kind of solidarity.
That solidarity is so important, especially when navigating these unwritten rules, like on the streetcar.
Ah, yes, the tug of war, as he put it. In New Orleans, streetcars weren't technically segregated, but black passengers were still expected to sit in the back.
So a white woman gets on and stands near him.
And he's trapped. If he offers her his seat, he's breaking the unspoken rule, drawing unwanted white attention. But if he lets her stand, he feels he's failing in simple human courtesy.
It's this impossible choice that just highlights the constant psychological pressure.
Every single moment is a negotiation. Every action is scrutinized. It's exhausting.
And that exhaustion carries over into the search for work.
Absolutely. Between November 10th and 12th, he tries to find a job. He's an educated man, looking for something like a typist or a bookkeeper position.
And he just gets these continuous, polite rebuffs.
That's the thing. People were often incredibly courteous to him, very polite. But the answer was always no. His skills, his education, none of it mattered.
This led him to one of his key conclusions after talking with local civic leaders, what he termed the economic vicious circle.
It's a perfect description. It's this structure that's deliberately set up to prevent talented, educated black men from getting anything beyond menial work.
Which guarantees they can't achieve a decent standard of living. It keeps them trapped.
He found it just incredible, not unbelievable, but a deliberately constructed system to crush people's potential.
And this extends down to the most basic daily interactions, like just handling money.
He was terrified of being accused of dishonesty. He describes this one incident in a dime store where he tries to cash a traveler's check.
A perfectly safe form of money.
Of course, but the young white girl behind the counter just looks at him with suspicion and refuses. She immediately assumes he's trying to pull something.
An assumption she never would have made if he were a white man. It's that constant petty indignity.
It chips away at you. And that petty indignity could escalate into raw hostility in a second.
Like when he went to buy his bus ticket to Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
The ticket seller, he says, just turned sour, violently so. She started shouting at him, refused to change his $10 bill.
And it was completely unprovoked.
Totally unprovoked. Just this exaggeratedly hateful behavior. It was a clear signal that he was leaving the relative cosmopolitanism of New Orleans and heading to something much, much darker.
He described a growing sense of dread as he got closer to Mississippi.
Yes, it was known as the most dreaded state. And his decision to go there was actually fueled by a specific act of injustice.
The Mac Parker lynching case.
Right. Sterling had shown him a newspaper article. A Mississippi jury had just refused to even indict the known lynchers of Mac Parker.
It was a complete mockery of Southern justice.
It solidified his resolve to go there, to experience the heart of that system himself.
And the danger became real right there on the bus. He had this bizarre, frightening encounter with another black man, a passenger named Christoph.
Christoph was this very elegant, well-dressed, multilingual man, but then he just starts spouting the most vile, hateful things about his own race.
Griffin actually wondered if the man was mad.
You would. It was pure self-hatred, the result of this immense psychological pressure turned inward. Christoph later reveals he's a frustrated priest, just struggling with everything.
And the whole thing ends with him threatening to shoot up a couple of guys. It's just terrifying.
It shows the deep internal damage, but then almost immediately, the external threat comes right back.
At the bus rest stop.
The driver announces a stop, all the white passengers get off to use the restrooms, get a drink.
But when Griffin and another black passenger, Bill, try to get off,
the driver physically blocks the door. Bill asks, "You mean I can't go to the..." And the driver just screams at him, "I mean, get your ass back there like I told you."
a denial of the most basic human need. It's not about economics anymore. It's about pure power and dehumanization.
Absolutely. And when he finally gets to Hattiesburg, he finds a bit of a refuge with a man named P.D. East.
A white newspaper editor, a liberal activist. His story is so important because it shows what happened to white people who defended.
P.D. East had faced total persecution. He wrote a book about it called The Magnolia Jungle. He got telephone threats, his advertisers boycotted him, subscriptions were canceled.
All because he refused to publish editorials supporting segregation. He wouldn't follow the correct Southern attitude.
He paid a massive price for his principles. And it's in Hattiesburg that Griffin has this really profound personal moment. He tries to write a letter to his wife.
And he can't.
He just can't. He says this visual barrier imposed itself. He felt that his new blackness would not allow me to go on.
It's like the system was so powerful, it could sever his most intimate connection. It was separating him from his own past, from his own heart.
It was a complete and total isolation. And on top of that, you have the endless daily struggle just for basics. Finding a place to eat, a place to get a drink of water, a place to wash your hands.
He mentions being desperately thirsty and asking a white shopkeeper for a glass of water, only to be refused.
It's a state of constant siege. And that's really the main takeaway from his entire journey. Racism wasn't just about, individual prejudice or people being mean.
It was a system.
A systematic effort, as he wrote, to destroy the souls and bodies of other men. It did that by denying them education, denying them opportunity, and casting them on the junk heap of second-class citizenship. It was designed to suppress completely.
So it leaves you with this question. This whole experience showed that denying someone basic dignity, whether it's through this huge hateful act or just a petty cruelty like not cashing a check, it strips a person of their essential self-respect.
Yeah.
What does it mean when a society is built to make you constantly prove you're worthy of just surviving?
It's an almost impossible burden. And, there's that Langston Hughes poem Griffin quotes that captures the whole contradiction of his experience.
Night coming tenderly, black like me.
Yes. The beauty of the night, something universal and gentle, affirms the very humanity that the daylight world works so hard to deny. It's this beautiful, heartbreaking consolation set against the constant threat of hate. That contrast is everything.
We hope this exploration of Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin has been insightful for you. Remember, the content comes straight from the book, and we feel this is a great way to learn about African American history.
Please tell others about this podcast and consider subscribing for future content. We also encourage you to suggest books you would like to hear in future episodes in the comments.
Thank you for subscribing and for listening.